Hello, Vanguardians. This is Anthony here from Epic CFV 365, coming at you today with my friend
Tucker,
doing a
Jewel Knight deck profile.
Alright, don't forget, like, subscribe buttons down below. Leave a comment with what you think. Check us out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for all of our Vanguard videos. Be sure to check the links down below for Facebook, eBay, Big N, Dave and Adams, and our locals Facebook page, which is Game Time here in Clemens, North Carolina. So that's where this is also kind of brought to you by, is Game Time. Be sure to check them out. Go ahead.
All right, well, starting off, our starter here is Tiffany. When you push her to the soul, she gives 2 of your Jewel Knight rearguards, 3,000 power. Just fixes columns when you have Evangeline turns, fixes alt mile turns. I mean, it just makes it so you don't attack with 25 for odd numbers. So, I mean, I like it. 3 Ashley Reverse. You have 2 ideal grade 3 rides. You have her and this one right here, Salome. So, when you ride these, this one has Limit Break. They both have Limit Break 4. So, Limit Break 4 on this one is if you have 4 or more Jewel Knight rearguards, plus 2k and a crit, so it's just 12 and a crit passively. It also has an emergency kind of move. Counterblast 2 Jewel Knights, search your deck for any Jewel Knight and call it. So you can, if you have 3 counterblasts, you can call Sword Me call something else. I mean, you can change stuff up with it. I mean, it's not like something you use all the time, but then you have Ashley. Ashley has Limit Break 4 for the cost of locking a rearguard and counterblasting one. You can retire one of the opponent's front row and call out anything or any Jewel Knight from your deck. So you go in and you can fix field. You get rid of problem grade 2s they won't have in the front. I mean, wish it retired the back, it'd be great, but hey, you know. Your other grade 3 is right here. This is a card that nobody knows about, the Mate for Sword Me. Interesting. So if you have 6 or more Jewel Knight units on the field, so when this is in Legion it counts as 2 because they're both separate units, it gets 5k and a crit. When it attacks a Vanguard, it also gets 2k. So you're swinging 27 2 crit on its own. You know, it's a Legion. You shuffle. It's kind of a late game thing. It's decent. I like it. It's won me a few games. Grade 2s, we have 4 copies of the 12k attacker for Jewel Knights. It has a bit of an odd condition. As opposed to having a Jewel Knight Vanguard, you need 3 or more Jewel Knight rearguards. So you don't need to have a Jewel Knight Vanguard, which lets you use another unit I'm about to show you that's pretty decent. But you put this in a column with anything, do the Evangeline, do the big turn, it ends up swinging for large amounts just on its own. Then we have 4 copies of the big one, the Sword Me, the one that everybody loves. Counterblast a Jewel Knight, call a grade 1 Jewel Knight from deck. You use this to chain off with stuff, call out full fields, call out Cymbalines, whatever you need to do. It's just your fixer. It grabs your Limit Break enablers, everything. Love it. Here is an interesting card. 3 copies of Starlight Violinist. So for a Counterblast and a Soul Blast, when it's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, which is important, you can search your deck for any grade 2 card. So your ideal thing would be taking 2 damage. If they crit, you can punish them by riding this, Soul Blasting your grade 1, calling out the Sword Me, counterblasting again, and calling another one. So just for riding this, you fill up a whole column and get it. I mean, it's a whole column just for them hitting you for more early. Now for the grade 1s, one out of the Fighters collection, the Jewel Knight Christine. So when she's placed, if you have 3 or more Jewel Knight rearguards, counterblast, reveal a grade 3 Jewel Knight, or no, it's not Jewel Knight, it's just reveal any grade 3, and then call any grade 3 card from your deck, or grade 3 Jewel Knight from your deck, and at the end of the turn, it goes to your hands, and you discard a card. So use this to grab whichever grade 3 you want right now. It's decent. It makes a column. If you need that, you call it out and then just call it in front of it. It boosts it, you know. Then we have 4 of the OG PG for Jewel Knights Assaults. So It's just a regular old rear guards. That's important. You like having rear guards. You like having Jewel Knight names in Counterblast for Sword Me. It's pretty decent. Also gets rid of all the ends that you're about to see pretty soon. Then we have 3 copies of Heatwind Jewel Knight Symboling. When this is placed on rear guard, if you have 3 or more Jewel Knight rear guards, you can tap it and give something 10k. You give it Vanguard, rear guard, anything. 10,000 power for literally doing nothing. Call that, tap it, lock it with Ashley, and then you got a ton of power for no reason. Then 3 of the Limit Break Enabler. It's pretty important, seeing as how your main 2 grade 3s are all about having Limit Break. Lets you do stuff early, lets you ride Ashley and then just have her available right then and there, which is really nice to have. 2 Shellys. So, Shelly is kind of a pinch hitter. You call her out when you go Sword Me, you can call her out, have an extra one in the front to swing with. Swings for 10, so she gains 3k power on swing if you have 3 or more Jewel Knight rear guards. So she's kind of, like I said, she's kind of your pinch hitter. I mean, then for triggers we have 4, 8, 12 crit, and 4 heal. Those 8 crit are vanilla. These are very, very important in the deck. You can call these things behind our friend Tracy and boost Tracy, and Tracy swings for 16. That is 2 stages of shield for swinging with a crit trigger and a grade 2. And then into the turn, it lets you draw a card, goes back to the deck, and you shuffle. So, lets you fulfill the turns where you would have had to have called out a perfect guard or any other crit trigger, and you get to put it back in and draw. So, now for the strides, we are running the big 4-stride G-Zone, 4 copies of Evangeline, 2 copies of Altmile, and 2 copies of Saint Ball. Evangeline is the star in this deck. Once per turn, during your main phase, you can flip up anything in your G-Zone. All of your Jewel Knight rearguards that are currently out gain 3k for every face-up copy of her. So you have a few ways to do this. You can go and do your first turn, flip up a copy, do your baby Sanctuary Guard thing, and then, so everything gains 3k, so it's 6k per column. You can stride again, flip up another one, and have 9k per column, so or it's 18 per column, so that's pretty decent. It makes pretty big columns out of nowhere. You could go flip up that for the first one so you get the power, and then stride onto the other ones, and instead of flipping up the other one, you flip up Saint Blow or Altmile or whatever you don't need at the time. It gives you an extra turn, so you can go 3k, 6k for 12k, and then 18 for everything. It makes things large out of nowhere. It's pretty ridiculous. Altmile is pretty important in this deck. When he's placed, you flip up a copy of himself. All of your units in the front row get 3k, and if you have 2 or more face-up G units, he gains the ability to search your deck for a grade 2 and call it. It gets 5k. You call Sword Me, you call Starlight Violinist, he fills up your field, makes them bigger. He gives you bigger turns when you're not wanting to use Evangeline and you need rear guards. Saint Blue is your, I want to end the game now. He doesn't have a perfect guard. Don't stride this when they have a perfect guard because they will use it. Flip up a copy of himself, and he gains 3k for each rear guard. Then if you have 2 or more face-up G units, and the number of cards in your rear guard is 2 or more, he gains a crit. So you stride him to end the game, or you push him from 3 to 6 since you're running 12 crits. It is he's there to push for game. He wants the game to end. You want it to end, you put him out there. Yeah, so, I mean, most of the combos in this are kind of self-explanatory. You Sword Me out, and Sword Me calls whatever you need. You Starlight Violinist, grab the Sword Me. I mean, it's a lot of pretty easy stuff. I mean, so you're swinging for high power. You can rush early. I mean, it's a good early to mid-game deck. So, well, that's all of that.
Any changes you would like to make to the deck, or?
Honestly, the Heloise starter, maybe. She makes, you can put her behind a Starlight Violinist and she makes him swing for 16. She's a 5K starter if you have 3 or more Jewel Knight rear guards. She boosts for 8K instead of 5K. So it's, I mean, it's something. Other than that, no, not that I know right now. I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with it.
Alrighty, so that was Jewel Knights. Don't forget, like, subscribe buttons down below. Be sure to leave a comment with what you think of it. Check us out on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for all of our Vanguard videos. Be sure to check out links below for Dave and Adams, eBay, Facebook, Big N, and Game Time's Facebook page. This is Anthony and
Tucker
of Epic CFV 365 saying, if you're going to card fight, make it epic.